real estate agent? Are you looking to acquire clients consistently so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle? This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder Podcast.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very fancy.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get a little bit fancier.
I like it.
I've always been in the 21st century, even when it was the 20th century. So we like to keep moving forward.
Well, I like it.
So, hello, everybody. This is the Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 104. And just before we get started with my great guest, who I've known for a long time, we haven't been in touch much lately, but we've known each other an awful long time. We worked together. I guess, Dean, had to be at the end of the 1990s. We started working together with Joe Stump.
Yeah.
But Dean, I got a question for you. It's Real Estate Talk TGIF. Do you know what the TGIF stands for?
Well, thank God it's Friday.
You're close, Dean. You're really close. It's thank God it's finale. And that's where
thank God it's finale. He's here.
It's thank God it's Friday. And everybody, I want to welcome my great guest, Dean Jackson, friend. I've worked with Dean over the years. Dean has always been ahead of his time when it came to marketing for real estate. I first met him with money-making websites, getting listings, and now it's GoGo Agent. Everything's under there. He is the real estate marketing guru. If you use that word, I actually hate that word, but you are it, man. I learned an awful lot from you over the years. The living in websites and all that stuff. So tell us, it's been a long time since you and I met first.
Yeah.
But there was stuff coming up from there and how you started your career getting into the marketing.
Well, I started out in 1988, a young 22-year-old starting out in real estate in Toronto, just outside of Toronto. And, realized now that's 32 years ago. And
holy crap.
It's crazy, right? But that seems like yesterday. And of course, back then, there was no internet. There was no email. Nobody was connected like we are online. Everything was, in the real world. And so when you had to look at it now, one of the things that I found is that there's been so much that's changed over these 30 years. There's been so many things that have come along in terms of the internet, in terms of email, in terms of online, realtor.com, Zillow, all of these websites that we kind of take for granted as the real estate market or real estate world now were not even in existence when I started out. And so I started thinking about how all of those things have changed. But one of the thoughts that I had was, what are the things that haven't changed in those 30 years? When you start looking at all the changes that have come because of technology in real estate, there's a lot of things that haven't changed. And I started comparing it to something you and I both love, golf. And you think about all the changes in golf technology over the last few years, those years. What I found was that back in 1990, the leading driver on the PGA Tour, the long drive, was 279 yards, and now in 2020 it's over 338 yards is the leading driver on tour. But when you look at what's fundamental about it, the scoring average, the thing that matters, it's only changed by 1/4 of one stroke over those 32 years, the scoring leader on the PGA Tour. And I liken that the same thing here, that when you look at on real estate, the things that matter right now are the same things that mattered back then. The days on the market and how much money you get for your house. Sellers in 1990, they wanted to get the most money. They wanted to get it in the least amount of time, the least hassles that they could get. That's all still true now, and it's going to be true 30 years from now.
Right. Exactly. So all right. So there's there's all this changes in technology, but not much of a change in what we do, right? And the results of what we do, like you used the analogy of the comparison to golf, right?
Yeah.
So how does that relate to leverage and everything else that agents can do with their business?
So it's perfect. So, it's like hitching your wagon to the right thing. Like when you look at what Jeff Bezos built Amazon, and people constantly were asking him what's coming, what's the technology, how's this technology going to affect the things? And he said pretty wisely that I don't know what technology is going to be the winner in the next 10 years, but he said, I know that what we're building the company on are the things that are not going to change. He said, I know that consumers are going to want the widest selection of products. They're going to want them at the lowest price they can get them in the fastest time that they can. So when you stop kind of thinking about having to adopt the newest technology, adopting whatever it is just because it's the newest thing, and you overlay it with what is the core thing that's going on. Like a lot of people are afraid right now, concerned about iBuyers. They're concerned that iBuyers are going to edge out the real estate agents, right? But what they're really doing, if you overlay that now on top of the core things that people want, they want the highest price in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassles. What that actually does is it's indicating that people are actually willing to pay more as a seller, that they're willing to pay more, which is the corollary to accepting less, right? That they're willing to take an offer from an iBuyer that is market value, that's established by the iBuyer, which is not top market dollar. They're saying this is reasonable market value minus the 6% experience fee minus an additional 3.5 or 4% convenience fee. So what it's really saying is that some sellers are happy to accept 10% less than what market value is for their house, which if you take a corollary and say, would people be willing to pay a 10% commission to have that instant sort of results? Now, where you can't, what the iBuyers have as an advantage, if they're like Zillow or the ones who have all of the buyers and the data, they've got algorithm stuff on their side. But what you don't have, what they don't have, is the opportunity to be a market maker, a category buyer. So if you take, like, for instance, one of the things that we've done a lot is, let's say you take an area like in, we have a client in Gloucester, Massachusetts on Cape Ann who does oceanfront homes. There's 1,000 oceanfront homes on Cape Ann. And this would apply for anybody that you can pick a category that you could sort of triangulate, where you take that. We have a program that we run called Getting Listings, where we are sending out postcards identifying people who are going to be selling their house. So if you send out postcards, people raise their hand. Now you know that some of these people on those oceanfront homes are going to be selling their house at some point. And on this other side, you're running ads offering people information on the prices of oceanfront homes, and Oceanfront Home Guide to Cape Ann, looking for buyers of oceanfront homes. Now you've got on one side these potential sellers, and on the other side you've got potential buyers, and you're able to be a market maker to match those things up, which is an amazing opportunity for you,
I think one of the things you just said is almost contrary to what people are thinking about. You use the phrase postcards.
Right.
And we're talking about snail mail. We're talking about postcards in an area.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe what you're also talking is backing it up or fronting it with an ad, an online ad.
Absolutely. Well, but for two different reasons, right?
Right.
You can get people who own oceanfront homes are what we call visible prospects. You can point to them and say, there they are. These 1,000 people own these 1,000 homes. Those are the oceanfront home. If you want an oceanfront home on Cape Ann, you're going to have to get one of these 1,000 because that's all there is, right? Now, people who want to buy an oceanfront home are invisible prospects. Right. You can't get a list of people who have been eyeing a house on the ocean and that's their desire. They want to buy a house on the ocean. So you have to find them. And it's really interesting. There was a company. Are you familiar with Molson Canadian beer?
Yeah.
Okay. So Molson, what they used to do, it was very, advanced. They would buy a full page ad in Cosmo magazine or in women's magazines, right? And it would have this model looking guy, dream guy with the long hair in a sweater in a field with puppies, like the dream guy of these girls. And it would say his address is the intersection between masculinity and sensitivity, his beer, Molson, right? Now, that was not the target audience for they're not trying to attract women beer drinkers. They know that the guys are their market. So they ran that ad so that they could run an ad in men's magazines that said hundreds of thousands of women pre-programmed for your convenience. And they'd show a picture of the Cosmo ad and say, while you're reading this ad, hundreds of thousands of women are seeing a completely different ad, scientifically designed to increase the attraction they feel towards men who drink Molson. And all you have to do to trigger it is drink Molson, right? And it was just so like tongue in cheek, but funny in the way that they were doing it, that it was really that they knew that they were being an advocate for what their target market really wants. Right. And I say that if you're trying to get oceanfront listings, nobody wants to list their house. That listing isn't the thing. The only reason anybody lists their house is to get to the point where they get the check for their house, that they find a buyer. That's what they really want. That's why these iBuyers are so popular, is that they can just get the check without all the hassle of having to put your house on the market, right? And I would say to people that no matter what, it's not about your listing presentation. It's not about your marketing plan or all the things that you're going to do once you list their house. If I were to go up against any number of agents in this parade of presentations that people are going to be considering before they list their house. Right. If you went in and you just brought one thing, which is your checkbook, and you said to them, you've got a beautiful house, how much would you like for it? And when would you like to move? I'll take it. And you would immediately, I call it, it would be the one that they would, even if the listing agent that they were going to list with was their mother, they would not list their house with their mother if you had a check for them, right? And so I say that because the best thing that you could do is going into a listing presentation is to have already a pool of buyers who are looking for oceanfront homes. If I go into an oceanfront home and say, all these people are going to come in and tell you what they will do to market your home. Well, I've been looking for the buyer for your house for 180 days now. And I've already got this list of 600 people that are looking for oceanfront homes. And I sent out a quick email to tell people that I was coming out to see about one. And these 13 people want me to tell them immediately about your house. Now you've got this head start. You're closer to the situation, that they really want, which is the outcome.
Exactly, and it makes so much more sense. I want to flip around and go to something that you call the listing multiplier index.
Right.
We're talking about that, and it has a lot to do with what we were just talking to. So segues into what we're talking about.
That's certain, because that's one of the ways that you can multiply the listings that you get. One of the opportunities that I found the most the easiest thing, the lowest hanging fruit for agents to capitalize on is all the extra opportunity that they have with their current listings.
Right.
And that I look at it and we identify what we call your listing multiplier index. And the way to figure that out is that we look back over the last 10 listings that you took and we say, okay, out of those, how many transactions were you able to generate with those 10 listings? And there are 5 opportunities that you have every time you take a listing. Yeah. Okay. So number 1 is you can get the listing sold. That's the number 1 thing. Number 2, you can find the buyer yourself.
There's 2, right?
Number 3 is you can find a buyer who buys another house. Maybe they came to your open house or they inquired on the ad. You talked with them and you end up working with them to help them find another house. You can get another listing in the neighborhood after this one is done. And you can get a referral from the seller. There's at least those 5 opportunities that you have.
Right.
Okay. So we go back and we look at the last 10 and we say, how many of those points did you get of the last 10? So out of a possible 50 points, 5 times the 10 listings, right, how many points did you get right now in looking back at it? Because that gives you a sense of what the reality of what your current system is or your current situation. So when I present that to people for the first time, typically what we find is they get somewhere between 8 and 15 points out of a possible 50. And that means that, 8 of the 10 listings sold, 2 of them came off the market, or all of them sold and you found a buyer who bought another one, or you got another listing, all these incidental kind of things that happen. And so we take that number, the number of points that you get, and we divide it by 10 to get your index, like your golf handicap or like your bowling average, right? So your current system, if you got 15 points out of 50, we divide it by 10 and your listing multiplier index is 1.5. And that means that if you didn't change anything, your current system is set up to yield 1.5 transactions every time you get a listing.
Right.
Now, by focusing on it, our clubhouse leaders, we'll call them, in the as soon as you name something and put a metric on it and start measuring it, it starts improving, right? And so our leaders in the clubhouse have a listing multiplier index of over 3.5. So now you do the math on that if each one of these points that we talk about is a transaction side that could be worth $10,000 minimum, that you're looking now at a big change in the outcome of what you're getting with your next 10 listings, Right. And so that's one of the big focuses. And so creating a category, whether it's oceanfront homes or townhouses or golf course homes or lakefront homes or things that are non-algorithm based things, but category, that somebody might be looking for this category. So you can start finding buyers and you can point to them on a map and start lining up your listing opportunities in there. That gives you an advantage going into it.
Right. And this is something that's, you've been working on this for an awful long time. So it has nothing to do with technology or anything, the advances we're making.
No.
So it's really how you're leveraging the listings you get and how you score yourself and what does a listing really mean to you in more transactions, right?
Yep. So the saddest words that I hear from people are that, especially in markets that are hot or whatever, I hear people say, well, I don't have to do just listeds, or I don't have to do info box flyers, or all that stuff. Our market's hot. We price them right, and all my listings sell, in 7 days for 98% of ask price or whatever. Right. That's kind of the sad thing, but they're missing out on all of these things. I say, if you got 10 points out of 50 and it's 10,000 each, you got $100,000, but you actually lost $400,000 by not getting those other opportunities that you had while you had them.
So basically what you're saying is, and I get this. This is one thing we talk about a lot too. You've just put it into a system, which is an amazing system, right? And I've worked with it a little bit. So basically what we're talking about is you need to leverage your listing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more transactions out there once you get that listing.
Yes.
And if you're not doing it, you're missing out on the money. It's like you're leaving all this money on the table.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And these are competition-proof opportunities that you have. Because when you get that listing, you're the only one that can put that info box flyer there. You're the only one who can send out just listeds. You're the only one who has the relationship with the sellers.
Right.
You're the one. If anybody's interested in that house, you're the one that they have to go through. So it's really head up and creating those opportunities to capitalize on them.
That's fantastic. I want to change the subject. We didn't talk about this the other day when we spoke, but I've always attributed this to you, but I've heard so many people use this phrase and you have no idea what I'm saying.
Okay.
I believe that you coined the phrase, the 9-word email.
I did, of course. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I've heard an awful lot of people use it.
Yeah.
Except when I use it, I always use your name. I always give credit.
That's great. Yeah.
But the 9-word email for follow-up. Talk about that, because I think that's one of the most amazing tools that people don't understand.
Yeah. Well, that's something where, one of the things that I realized early on is that we were generating a lot of leads. That's what, I figured out when I first started doing direct response. The focus was on lead generation. And what I realized is that not everybody's ready to buy or sell right now. And that there's a lot more people who are going to do something later.
Right.
And so I really started in the 90s really studying lead management, lead conversion. And I found a study that showed, this was by a company that does inquiry handling on an enterprise level for big companies. And so on a corporate level, if somebody goes to a corporate website and asks for a catalog or asks for information about something, this company would do the distribution of that. They would handle the inquiries and then send the leads back to the sales team, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so what they found, they would do something that they called "Did you buy" surveys. And I found this fascinating. So they would do a survey, and let's say that their client is Kohler Faucets, and you went to the home show and you inquired about faucets, and they sent you literature, they sent you information about it, and they would call up a sampling of people at 90-day increments, and they would ask just one question. They'd say, "Dave, you came to the home show, you inquired about faucets. Have you bought any faucets?" Did you buy any faucets? Not, did you buy Kohler faucets, or would you like us to sell you some Kohler faucets? They're just inquiring as to your actual behavior. Did you buy what it was you inquired about?
Right.
And what they found was that just over half of the people that inquire about anything will buy what it is they inquire about within 18 months. But only 15% of them will do it in the first 90 days. So the real value of a bundle of leads today is not, it's 5 times more valuable 90 days and longer from now than it is right now. And that, I can't tell you how many times you probably see this, and you saw it as a broker, that people say, oh, those leads are no good. I bought leads from realtor.com. That didn't pan out into any, I did it for 3 months. I didn't get anything. Those leads are no good, right? And the reality is that they weren't, their expectation is they're looking for not the 90-day buyer, they're looking for the 9-day buyer. They want to run the ad today, get the call, get somebody in the car, find them a house, and sell it to them in that 9 days. Nobody's got the patience or the interest in nurturing for 90 days. 90 days is the super long-term follow-up for most people, right? Let alone 18 months.
Right.
But anyway, so when we take that frame, I realize that people are, what you're really creating is an asset when you're generating leads right now. If anybody's inquiring about something, the odds are 5 times greater that they're going to buy more than 90 days from now. And so when we looked at it, we had one of our money-making websites clients had to take some time off. Their mother went through an illness. They had to, took 8 months off, and they were generating leads and had done everything, but then coming back felt like, okay, we need to start running ads again and get everything up. But they'd already generated like 800 leads at that point, right? But had no contact with them or no follow-up. And I said, well, are any of those people, have you been in contact with any of them that they're going to buy? And they hadn't. So I said, well, let's just send an email to them first. And we just literally sent the subject line was Georgetown, and we sent an email that said, hi, Dave, are you still looking for a house in Georgetown? That's it. That was the 9-word email. And what happened was all these people started replying back. And it was amazing. If you're going to do it, anybody listening, if you've got people who have fallen through the cracks, or people, go through your desk drawers, your old notebooks, your old texts and emails, and look back 90 days or more, gather up everybody and send them an email and just say, hey, are you still looking for a house in Georgetown or wherever you are? And it'll be amazing what you'll find. I mean,
when you first said that, I heard that, and that was Dean, that's a long time ago. That's 15, 20 years ago, right? I thought that was genius then. And then all of a sudden, as the time is going on, every year someone else is telling people to use that 9-word email. And I've seen it. I mean, I could rattle off 3 names off the top of my head of people using it. It's just really cool. I mean,
it's pretty great. It's one of those great magic tricks that you can, do at any time.
Exactly. So I want to talk to you about how you do your business with GoGo Agent is your baby. It's where everything is put together. And then we have someone to join us in a few minutes. But I wanted you to talk about GoGo Agent a little bit first.
Sure. So GoGo, I have a podcast called Listing Agent Lifestyle. And I wrote a book called Listing Agent Lifestyle, where we talk about the elements of living a listing agent lifestyle, of getting listings, of multiplying your listings, getting referrals, converting leads, finding buyers. Those are all the business elements. And then the lifestyle elements of daily joy, abundant time, and financial peace. And you put all 8 of those together, and that's what we're calling the listing agent lifestyle. And so GoGo Agent is the community and the tools that I'm building for people who are pursuing that listing agent lifestyle. We've got all the systems to get listings, all the systems to multiply, to get referrals, and the tools, the landing pages, autoresponders, texting, toll-free voicemail, all wrapped in a CRM. That's what my focus on unifying everything that I've done in real estate into that one home.
Well, you know what? I'm going to try to. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm trying to share the screen to see if I can get people to see it.
Oh,
and
it's
there,
like an option. Yes.
I don't know if we can see that or not. But you know, we always try to make mistakes. But this is GoGo Agent. If anybody can see it,
yes,
really great things there. I suggest everybody go there. I'm going to stop the share now, and I'm going to bring on a friend of mine, colleague I work. We spoke about a guy by the name of Sekou Pyle. Sekou is the king, in my opinion.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
How are you?
And we a lot of the stuff, Dean, that you and I have talked about, we work on a little bit in just in different terms, right? Mm-hmm. So what you talked about, Dean, was basically pandemic proof. Right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
There, right? And as you and I talked about, I've been working with agents in this virtual world and teaching it for over 5 years. And what happened is over the last 12 weeks, let's say there were some hiccups for a week or so. And Sekou is one that picked everything up and started rolling with pulling the virtual. Everybody had to learn it all over again, learn what. So I bring in Sekou as a partner in crime, a shoulder to shoulder, and we work.
I get to hang out with Real Estate Royalty, the both of you, man. I was sitting there listening, and the concepts that you speak about. You know, one of the things that I constantly say to agents is, you know, stop trying to replace work with stuff. Like, stop trying to replace the hard work of your business with anything, with the shiny new toy or anything like that. And I say, just look at what works and just do it. And when you get to a point where you cannot physically do that thing in that capacity anymore, that's when you add support your way, and that's when you add in the gizmo in order to take some of the weight off. You definitely inspire when you start talking about and I'm not going to coin the phrase correctly. You're the 5. What did you call it?
The listing multiplier index.
The listing multiplier index.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I say to everyone all the time that, you know, you're looking to establish relationships. You spend all of these times to establish a relationship. And then when you have the relationship, you ignore the other person. You're ignoring the relationship. Right. Yeah. And so that listing multiplier index provides somebody the time to pour into that relationship, to meet their friends, to learn what they like, to begin to ingrain yourself into the area. That was just brilliant, man. It's a brilliant way to sort of encapsulate the concept of growing your business through relationship management, man. And that is awesome, brother.
Yeah. Awesome.
I love it. I believe that what you've put together as pandemic proof or recession proof or quarantine proof and all of this and that is what I've been calling the addition market. Instead of doing something, instead of replacing what you're doing, you're adding to what you're doing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, if it ain't broke, don't break it.
That's it.
That's a different
you
one.
know, a lot of people consider me a dinosaur by picking up the phone and calling every day. And I say, well, you know, if I'm a dinosaur, then I'm the longest living one, man. And, you know, until you replace it, it's going to be what it is.
That's awesome.
And another thing that you guys said while you were talking is these are the notes that I took. I took a bunch of notes while you guys were talking, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're talking about Bezos and you're talking about how, you know, everyone's asking him, what's the next new thing? What's the next new thing? What's the next new thing? And he's like, no, I don't know about the next new thing, but I do know that people will keep using this,
Mhm.
right? So I was speaking to another real estate royalty. I was speaking to a guy named Sean Chalice, and he did something really interesting with this market. When the market came to be, he took a whiteboard and wrote down everything that they needed to do to close a deal from beginning to end.
Mhm.
And then they just erased the pieces that they physically needed to be there for.
Right.
And it was only like one or two things that they physically needed to be there
Yeah.
for.
That's it.
And that's how we innovate.
Yeah.
That's how we,
That's
you know,
it.
we take something that everyone
Welcome to
does.
Cloudlandia. This is where we're all migrating to the cloud. Yeah, that's true. You don't physically need to be.
And so it's been an interesting ride. I get to ride and be around Finale and now Dean Jackson. So Finale talks about you, man. He talks about you as the master of marketing, and you know, he's always like, you know, I got this from our buddy Dean Jackson, and Dean Jackson says this, Dean Jackson says that, you know. So I get to meet you.
That's great. I love it. I love it. I love it.
One of the things that Sekou was pointing at, and something we talked about the other day, is you talked about putting yourself. You talked a little bit about it before, but I want you to expand on it. Put yourself in that. You talked about the market maker position. Put yourself in that position. You talked about that. I want you to expand on that and give us a little bit.
Okay. So that's something that, you know, you can. One of the things we look at is maximizing everything when you create these opportunities. And so one of the things that I encourage people to do is every Monday, just, you know, maybe set up a reminder for yourself or put it on your calendar as Market Maker Monday, and just prompt yourself to take a look around and say, who am I showing houses to this week? Like, who have I got appointments where I'm going to have people in my car looking at homes, or I'm boots on the ground, you know, going through with them? And who am I going to see about listing their house? Whose kitchen am I going to be in this week? Not just who are the prospects that I'm working with, but the real, like, I'm on the ground with these people. And then look at your opportunities that you have to be a market maker. Now, one of the greatest tools that we use is a Google Map layer with all of your clients, everybody, all of your top 150, all of your relationships. Drop a pin on all of those homes where all of your clients live. All of your, if you've been doing the getting listings program, or you're generating you know, seller leads that you have, drop a pin on those things. Look at maybe get the data of the homes that have expired in the last 2 or 3 years and not relisted, and drop a pin on those. So now pull up your market maker map and start looking. If I'm showing townhouses in the River Run complex, and I know that I look at the thing and Dave is in my top 150, and I can say, hey, I can send out an email to Dave and say, hey, Dave, I'm showing houses this week in River Run, and I've got a client coming from Philadelphia, but there's only a couple for sale in there. Have you heard anybody talking about selling in River Run? Maybe we can match them up with this couple from Philadelphia, right? Or Sekou I might be doing a getting listings program in River Run, and Sekou responded to my postcard. He hasn't listed his house yet, but I can send an email to Sekou saying, hey, I'm showing houses in River Run this week, and I remember looking up your house online when I sent you the River Run report a couple of months ago. I'm not sure what your plans are, but I thought I'd check in and see if maybe I could tell this couple about your house.
Power.
Now,
Powerful.
if you just take 10 minutes to just open your eyes, think about what you've got and who and where the opportunities are for that, to be a market maker, you've got something that nobody else can do. right? Nobody else has that unique
That's powerful.
relationship, right?
That's such a point of differentiation. I mean,
It
it's
is.
like it's just so different,
Right.
because nobody else is doing it. I mean,
You think about within a brokerage, what the impact of a systemic way of doing that is, right? We've got within our go-go agent community, we've got brokerages that are, we create a landing page that is like a little form that they send out a text to the agents in the morning on a Monday and say, here's the market maker message. Get this in by 11 o'clock this morning. And then at 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon, they send out an email with here's what people are actually working with this week. So now you get a chance to, if you don't have someone, I know that Dave is showing houses in River Run. And now I can look at my thing and the same thing. I can say to Saku, hey, my one of my colleagues in my office is showing houses this week in River Run. Have you heard anybody? And now you get this as, collectively, if you can create a culture of market making within a brokerage like that, or within your team, if you've got a team of agents, everybody's got a top 150. Everybody's got relationships. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be anybody. It doesn't just have to be the lead, the team lead.
Well, we don't market to the homeless, right? Everyone lives.
Right.
See, you can see how that could work with the group you might be working with, right?
You know, I'm smiling.
I know.
Just think about that. The impact of that over 50 weeks.
Oh man,
it's tremendous.
Tremendous.
Right? Yeah,
tremendous. Dean and I started working together a long time ago when I was working with Joe Stump. That's where Dean and I met. And the Getting Listings program and the money making websites was all something that really you needed a compilation of workers to put it all together and actually do the work. My issue was not having the workers, right? But we've got the workers.
I mean, we got a pack of wolves that are working hard. Dean, I'll let you know, man. These folks, they're habitually setting 4 appointments a day, and just obsessed with their business. And very easy to talk about as arguably some of the greatest salespeople in their areas and in the genre. And what we're doing is we're lean and mean with them, right? So they're doing all body weight exercise, just to say it like that, right?
Yeah.
And then when we start adding in the tools like the go-go real estate agent or the KV Core or anything like that, and you start adding in these tools, now they become like, RoboCop, man. You just start transforming them into absolutely listing taking, buyer locking down machines.
Yeah.
I love it. It's an addition market, guys. And it's an addition market. This is a real estate agent's market.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The thing is that you've got to have the push and the discipline and the desire to go forward. Desire is one thing. Discipline is a completely different story. How do you deal with that with the people that are in go-go agent, Dean? How do you deal with the discipline? How do you move forward? Because you're pushing people toward, in your book, Listing Agent Lifestyle, you push people toward, daily joy, abundant time, and financial peace.
Yeah.
How are you pushing them? How are you getting them to the discipline phase?
Well, so what I'm realizing is then that's been the biggest thing. Like, since I've been trying to figure out this puzzle for realtors about getting listings has been a pursuit of realtors for as long as I've been, and it's still going to continue to be. That what I realized very early on in that pursuit was that if I can create a system where the thing that I depend on the realtor to do is nothing, then I'm going to get 100% compliance on that. Right. So my provocation when I set it up was, what would I do if I have to get listings, but my phone only accepts incoming calls.
Hmm.
And that is the way that I went about focusing on getting listings. I realized that the best way to get the results for people is we've got it down to where all somebody has to do is point on the map where they want to get the listings, and then we can do the entire thing for them. That's really how you get compliance. As soon as you are depending on somebody to do anything, the number of people that are going to do it is, of course, very, very low, right? And that's just something I've learned, like, that's just human nature, not just real estate agents. That's all people, right? It's like the convenience thing. So we have an easy button is what we call it, where we show people exactly how to do everything. You can do it all, just follow the directions. It's all laid out to do it, or you can push the easy button and we can do every element of it for
Plug
them.
right in.
Yeah. And that's how we talk about this abundant time, is the question that is the most limiting question that realtors ask is how. How do I do something? Because first of all, you're setting yourself up to do something that you don't know how to do. You're saying you're not going to be, you've got to now write a blank check to go down a path that you don't know how long it's going to take to actually figure out how to do it. And then even when you figure out how to do it, you still now have to do it. And you're going to do it probably poorly the first time because you're new to it. The entrepreneurial question to ask is who, because who is a multiplier. It's not how do I do this, is who can do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this, and this is, I mean, it sounds, I want to make sure that I really like convey the depth and importance of that distinction.
Right.
That the only two questions that, if you want to be a fast moving and growth oriented entrepreneur or realtor, the two questions that you should be concerning yourself with are what and who. Never how. Don't worry about how to do something. If the fact that you're asking how, it implies that somebody knows how to do it. It seems to be a technical challenge that now you just have to learn the system that somebody else. Well, if somebody else can do it, then you shouldn't be doing it. That's really the thing. That's how you can get this abundant time, is by allowing other people to do the things.
It's the entrepreneur's challenge.
That's
what is the problem and who needs it?
Well, when you get right down to it, do you ever just 3 minutes for me to tell a story?
Go.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm trying to like make sure that we really get this point. Okay, let's say metaphorically that the only thing that anybody in business is getting paid for is a transaction, a completed exchange of goods and services for money, right? The only thing that real estate agents get paid for is they earn commissions on closings. Okay, so the closing is the thing, which is the final step of matching a buyer and a seller together, negotiating an agreement and getting it to close. Okay. Right. So if that's the case, let's say that everything up to that point is all the work that gets done, and only if you complete the puzzle, like say we're likening it to a Rubik's Cube. If you're getting paid for solved Rubik's Cubes, right? You're not getting paid for time and effort. You can go all the way up to the end and then something falls apart and you didn't solve the cube. You're not getting paid for that time and effort that got you there. You're only getting paid for the end result, which is the solved Rubik's Cube. Now, if we look at it, I don't know, can either of you solve a Rubik's Cube? No, I don't know how to do it either, but I started asking myself, like, yeah, so I think, and that's unsolved, but I look at it and I started asking myself, okay, if I'm pretty smart and I like to figure things out, that I wonder if I sat down with a Rubik's Cube, could I figure it out? Like if I didn't put a time limit on myself, but could I figure it out? I might be able to experiment around. And then I started thinking, okay, I know it's possible because I know a lot of people know how to do it. And you see these dudes that do it in 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that they must have a system for it. And so I started searching around, and turns out there's an algorithm that is 28 moves. And if you do these 28 moves from any mixed up state, when you do these 28 moves, somewhere between the 20th move and the 28th move, it will enter a solved state. So that's what they're doing, is they're learning the system of how to do that, okay? And maximum, it's going to take 28 moves. Okay. Now, if we say, if I have presented with an opportunity that, let's say this completed Rubik's Cube is worth $10,000 in the marketplace. That's one side of a transaction. Metaphorically, that's what we're getting. Okay, now, if I can buy the raw Rubik's Cube for $50, let's say, or buying a lead kind of thing, right? Buying a thing, but I've got to figure out how to get them to the finish line kind of thing, right? I've got to go through all the processes to figure it out. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to be successful with that. Or I could go to the next table and I can buy a treasure map. I can buy the algorithm that shows me do these
28 moves,
and I can learn that, and that's going to give me a little bit of a shortcut, right? So I'm educating myself about a system, but I'm still not going to get it done as quickly as if I had a coach. Let's say that you, Saku, tell me, I'll work with you and show you how to solve this Rubik's Cube. So you hold it in my hands and you're guiding me and telling me how to make those moves, and we get the puzzle solved. But the last one is that I could buy a completed Rubik's Cube and just hand it to the guy in the next one for $10,000. How much would you pay for a completed Rubik's Cube that you could hand in? All you had to do is go and cash the check. How much would you pay for that completed?
Anything under 10,000, I'd pay for it.
Exactly, right? And
Right.
that's the thing where we start to think about this daily joy and abundant time, is to never do anything that somebody else could do. If there's a way, like this is part of the easy button thing, is that for having somebody you just say, I want to get listings here, and somebody takes all the work, does all the process, gets it to the point where you're getting the phone call, hey, come on over and list my house. That's the outcome that we're looking for, you know?
That's amazing. When you were talking about that, I'm saying I can never do this.
Right.
It's a
We've got a couple of Rubik's Cubes around here.
Yeah.
Now you're going to make us all solve this Rubik's Cube and go to gogoagent.com.
That's right. Well, we've got the solved Rubik's Cubes. Yeah.
Dean, I've always called you the marketing genius and everything else. I mean, gogoagent.com is one thing. How do people get in touch with you, to work with you, to get information from you, to talk to you? How do people do that?
It was a pleasure meeting you. I got to run.
Okay.
I love you guys. You know you got my full support. And now I hope I've got another friend in the industry. I'll talk to you later, man.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Yeah, so, I mean, how do people get in touch? I know it's gogoagent.com. Yeah. Is there any other way to communicate with you, Dean?
Yep, dean@deanjackson.com. That's my email. And you can go to deanjackson.com if you want to, but that's it.
And go to gogoagent.com. Here's the book. right?
Yeah, you can get a free copy of the book at listingagentlifestyle.com.
Which is amazing. A free copy of the book. That's really great. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, you've always been someone that I've always looked up to, and I've watched everything you've done over the years, in and out and stuff. And it's been a pleasure, being associated with you and knowing you. Thank you so much. I just have one other question. And what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you or your business aside from telling everybody about GoGo Agent?
Have you got any black hats?
Oh, Jesus, that's right. That's why you keep. I'm sorry. That's right. So as everybody, you found out just like everybody else. And it took me a year to get you on the show, right? And because, Dave, I got to get one of those hats. I said, we got to come on the show, Dean.
Well, if I had known you were giving out the black hats, I would have been on earlier. Yeah.
So, here's the hat. So I know that's why you came on the show, everybody. And everybody knows that. And everybody gets one. And I want to thank you. And I'll be sending this out to you this week. You get the hat. I mean, it's our consolation prize. No, it's not a consolation prize. It's our parting gift. I don't know. What do you call that? A thank you gift?
Nice thank you gift. That's
I
right.
don't know. But anyway, Dean, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned a lot. I've gone through your stuff. I will continue to go through your stuff. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, just reach out. Shoot me a text, email me, call me, whatever. Thank you so much, Dean.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care. Check. Whoop, hold on. And we are